Is Bitcoin and its fixed supply, of course, of 21 million BTC at risk? It's an interesting question. If you're at all like us, then you probably follow a lot of different crypto Twitter accounts, some big, some small, of course, and actually sometimes these smaller accounts have the better alpha and on occasion also ask the better questions. We saw this one from an account that we like and thought to ourselves that this was worth diving into as a topic in a lot more detail. So today we're going to discuss where that supply of 21 million BTC actually comes from. Plus we consider what some of the biggest threats could be to the supply of Bitcoin, at least that which is available to the market. If you hold any BTC whatsoever, and you should, you need to consider what we're talking about here. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie, and this is Altcoin Buzz. All the best of luck, as always, if you choose to invest. I genuinely wish you well. But whatever, don't blindly listen to me, or anybody for that matter, especially me though. I am not a financial or investment advisor, and so by extension, just remember that this video is not official financial or investment advice. Have you checked out our new trading section in Discord yet? Because starting this week, we now have a dedicated trading section to discuss all things altcoins and technical analysis. And on top of that, our very own Cody is giving his personal trading setups that he's actually taking in real time that you can follow along with, as well as educational videos to help you get started with trading. If you're not a trader, don't worry. We have sections on Bitcoin, altcoins, gaming, and NFTs as well. It's all for free. Join us in Discord today. Check out the link in the description below. Can there be more than 21 million BTC? It's a bold question because for the most part, we're pretty much all familiar with Bitcoin's 21 million fixed supply. And as we all know, that's actually anchored mathematically into its source code. That can change, right? Well, there are a couple of scenarios where that actually could change. That being said, they are highly unlikely, or in some cases, pretty much numerically impossible, but objectively speaking, they do exist hypothetically, right? So they include, and by the way, this is from most likely reasons to least likely reasons. Number one, a hard fork scenario. A hard fork here just means that the new chain can change its code and its consensus rules. And look, we've already seen successful tries at this with Bitcoin Cash and BSV, Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision. Bitcoin's nodes determine which is the so-called correct chain, and they do that by looking at which chain is the longest. Craig Wright can say as often as he wants that BSV is the longest chain, therefore it is the real Bitcoin in his opinion, but the nodes see it differently, and anyone can run a node. That is the beauty, after all, of Bitcoin's design. Another possibility could be a protocol change to Bitcoin's consensus mechanism, just like Ethereum's change from proof of work to proof of stake. This scenario could open things up to an agreement between miners and developers whereby both are looking for more than 21 million coins. Okay, but proof of work is one of the things that makes Bitcoin different and better. So really getting anyone on board to agree to a major overhaul in the form of a consensus change would be incredibly difficult. Moving down the list here of most likely to least likely scenarios, at number 3, we have to consider a technical error. This would take the form of a coding error and would possibly create either a double spend situation or the ability to create more coins out of thin air, as we've seen in some smart contract vulnerabilities. Just keep in mind, however, that Bitcoin does not use smart contracts, and therefore those same vulnerabilities don't apply here. But hypothetically, yes, the result would be the same. A fourth possibility here is some massive and unforeseen breakthrough in the power of quantum computing. If quantum computing gets strong enough, then hypothetically, again, it could crack Bitcoin's cryptography. If so, under those circumstances, yes, it would be possible to create more coins. Right now, this is not possible, and even computer scientists are unsure if quantum computing can get powerful enough theoretically for this to happen. But if we were to extrapolate tens or hundreds or thousands of years from now, I'd have to say that it's at least a possibility. And finally, the last reason here, this also makes it the least likely, but we have to consider external influences. So think of governments here. This is real pie in the sky stuff, but if, let's say, one or two governments and maybe some mining pools colluded together, Well, they could overtake the network and then change it to add more coins. Again, this is clearly the most unlikely scenario that we have here of the 5 that I've outlined. But if this were to happen, I'm saying the word a lot here, but hypothetically, yeah, this could result in a problem. Again, we've already seen hard forks, and we've also seen failed attempts at protocol changes and double spends going nowhere. So the likelihood of the original Bitcoin blockchain that we call Bitcoin, with coin BTC going over a 21 million supply, is extremely unlikely. However, there's one more scenario that we have to contend with, and that specifically is the BlackRock Effect. This is something that we have to square and come to terms with here. BlackRock plays to win, and they effectively, at least if you study their behavior, they want to dominate every field that they possibly can. We're seeing with Coinbase that they're creating a wrapped Bitcoin product called CBBTC. So, could a BlackRock wrapped Bitcoin come soon? Or even an attempted fork of the Bitcoin chain itself? Could BlackRock fork Bitcoin? Then we would have an institutional-based Bitcoin with the BlackRock fork and the original Bitcoin, I guess. Look, this is not outside the realm of possibility. It is possible. For now, institutional liquidity is important for Bitcoin, but could institutions follow BlackRock and their version of Bitcoin? Yes, definitely. Other institutions trust BlackRock on the whole, but that's not even necessarily bad for native Bitcoin. The whales, the long-term holders, and the nation states like El Salvador, for example, will continue buying native Bitcoin. All these groups and most who got into Bitcoin in the first place will prefer the native decentralized version. That's going to be far better than the BlackRock forked or wrapped versions, the hypothetical ones. And we've seen time and time again, others have tried, but none have replaced the original. But look, maybe like other institution-only markets, like treasury bonds, for example, there could be a 2 separate market scenario for 2 different sets of investors. And it's not impossible to envision both being healthy and functioning, kind of parallel to each other. This isn't an imminent threat or anything. It's very hypothetical. But objectively speaking, it is possible. However unlikely, I mean, that part is arguable, but it is possible to some degree at least. What do you think about this? Do you feel that BlackRock is going to be a net positive or negative for Bitcoin in the long term? Are they going to mess around with these kinds of things? There are certainly different viewpoints here. Let me know yours in the comments below.
And so if this market pulls back hard under this level and then consolidates and comes back, we're likely to sell and stall.
So is Bitcoin really at risk? Well, the answer here is kind of yes and no. The original Bitcoin chain and its 21 million are fine. That's not going anywhere. But will we see the equivalent of so-called paper Bitcoin sold in various places, whether that's by BlackRock or by somebody else? That's actually one of the serious concerns around Justin Sun's group taking over custody of WBTC. There are other wrapped products too. So there's TBTC, there's even Solv, that's SOLV BTC. So is there a risk that we'll see more wrapped Bitcoin in the market than there is actual Bitcoin held as collateral for it? Is Bitcoin going to go the route of gold with all of its derivatives and instruments and financial products that many say far, far, far outnumber the actual original supply of gold that purportedly they are tied to? We've seen hard forks before. And what has historically happened? BTC holders get coins for the new chain, and the new chain never overtakes the old one. But could a new chain become the so-called new Bitcoin? It's possible, yes, but very unlikely because there are just too many different parties, from the users to developers to miners, who would have to agree with the nodes in order to change which chain is the real Bitcoin. It's actually a testament to kind of the brilliance of the model here of decentralization. The decentralization aspect, characteristics of a technology like Bitcoin safeguard it against these kinds of changes. So again, it's got a greater than 0% possibility, but is still incredibly unlikely. Chances are very, very, very low.